Yishun 的选民甲北区来的选民，大家好，我是Png Eng Huat，后港区的候选人。今日我要甲恁讲一个代志，真重要的。投票是咪秘密的？有个人讲毋是啦，阮人行的时阵有人讲，马伦主投吼，较侪因为较侪是咧死的人来喊了啦。伊讲马伦主投，我知你投啥物，投谁呢？政府会知？无，你家讲，政府讲投票是秘密的。啊！你讲你会知我投谁？你是讲政府大炮先啊？对无？你讲政府讲骗话就，咱去报马达。哦，你家讲，投票伊哩是真简单的，你去到投了咧，有一个政府人会查你的名，查了伊会读你的名出来。安怎伊会读大声咧？因为读大声对面有对方人面斗有两个人，一个是代表BAB， 结果咱是伫斗选咧，一个是代表工人党。所以伊讲啊大声，伊人有时伊人家己本一个单，咱使查，互伊查伊听，然后咱才甲你挂掉。有时 BAB 的人查单的人是较硬啦，伊本讲你的名啦，斗大声啦。伊讲咧是外行啦，伊讲我知你的名了啦，所以你投票较小心啦，你看啦，所以你免惊啦，伊讲啊大声，你甲骂伊咯，你讲啊，你叫伊名大声做啥物鬼咯？免惊伊。你投票了，伊会分你去三条分的，一个 A， 一个 B， 一个 C。所以你讲你徛大牌301啦，用301去 A， 你免惊。虽然301到305是 A 吼，你免惊的 ，because 阮人暝时8点，咱举去算票到了吼 ，A、B、C 的压开起来，放喺桌顶，拢总参的，伊安尼本事，伊惊人。真侪人排队排较长，无才着放伊票。所以伊叫你去 A， 你投了吼，你出来你无爽，你家放落去 B 咯，袂要紧的。你出来你放个 C 嘛是会使，不过你去甲算票都拢总参，做投票是秘密的，你也免烦恼啦 ，OK。我讲咱真多，无秘密啊！有个人无惊啦，我伫东海岸，迄阵2011，一个人投票，投了伊佫甲我讲 ，Mr. Peng， 我投了，你看，伊也无插，有个人无惊啦，免惊啦，免惊。OK， 即摆用按摩讲演讲吼。Dear resident of Yishun and residents from other part of Singapore, good evening and welcome to our Workers' Party rally. My fellow Singaporeans, the PAP has a bigger objective beyond discrediting the Workers' Party over the Town Council issue. That sinister objective is to break the will of the people who want to see real change and more opposition MP in Parliament to check on the government. I'm sure the same thing will happen again to another opposition party in the future, because the PAP wants you to believe that they are the only chosen one who can run Singapore. The Prime Minister had this to say about voting for the opposition to check on the government. He said, for every one more checker in Parliament, there will be one less doer. thinker, leader in the government to serve the nation and the people. Basically, the Prime Minister is saying that all the PAP MPs are indispensable. He went on to say, eventually, there will be no more PAP to check. There will be no more able team of ministers working and solving problems for Singapore. No progress for Singapore. No future for Singapore. And that will be the last check, because that will be checkmate for Singapore. My fellow Singaporean, the Prime Minister is saying, no PAP equals no progress and no future for Singapore. So your children may be studying for a diploma or degree now, and they will have no progress, no future if the PAP is not in power. Let's give the Prime Minister the benefit of the doubt, because his colleagues forgot to tell him the story of the Hao Lian rooster. I don't know what kind of chess the Prime Minister is playing, but the checkmate will not be on Singapore. No party can be bigger than Singapore. This is what happened when you let a despotic regime run loose for 50 years. It began to think it owns Singapore. By the way, the Prime Minister has confirmed that your PAP MPs are doers and thinkers and are not going to check the government for you. If you vote for the PAP, you will not have a voice in Parliament. One thing, even if the PAP MPs were to check on the government, it will not work. Because one thing I learned as chairman of the audit committee at AHPETC, you can't check on yourself. You will fail audit. There's only one way to check on the government, and that is vote for the Workers' Party. I met a friend from Thailand right after the military coup in May 2014. I asked him about life in Thailand from all the political turmoil going on. He said the civil service in Thailand is good, so things are running. Although business is affected, life goes on. Likewise, we have a good civil service in Singapore, but the PAP wants to frighten you. Mr. Teo Chee Hean said in Parliament that Singapore should avoid the risk of revolving door politics. What that means is, at every election, one party could come in and form the government. So it's just a revolving door. At every election, you could have a new government. So Mr. Teo Chee Hean said, we should avoid the risk of revolving door politics where civil servants are more able, stay longer, and therefore know more than their ministers, and may well run rings around them. And the best way to avoid this is to ensure that we have MPs and ministers of the highest quality. I'm sure DPM was not talking about the importance of having good political leadership in general, but he was implying that the PAP should be the chosen one to lead Singapore forever, since the subject is about revolving door politics. Well, I'd like to assure the DPM that if the PAP were to lose power one day, he can go home and take a hot bath because the water will still be running. He can read the newspaper and surf the internet because the electricity will still be running. And he can take the MRT and buses. Maybe not the MRT, because just now they talk about the MRT, always break down. So, he can go to work, cross the road safely because everything will still be running. And the birds will still be singing. And they'll be singing a new song, a song of freedom. My fellow Singaporean, you have given the PAP an amazing slap on the face not too long ago. But instead of knocking the PAP unconscious, you have actually knocked the PAP conscious. It became conscious that the long wait for the HDB flat. It also became conscious about the high prices of public housing. In fact, it also became conscious about the elderly poor. It also became conscious about Singaporeans becoming a minority in some companies because of some misguided foreign talent policy. The PAP made many policy U-turns after 2011. But the PAP minister say many of the government policy introduced after 2011 were developed a long time ago, with some as far back as during the late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew's time. Dear voters, it does not matter how the policy U-turns come about, because the Workers' Party is not claiming credit. It is the people of Aljunied, Hougang and Punggol East who should get the credit. Because they gave the PAP 7 tight slaps that made the difference. Imagine what 28 slaps can do. It is important for us to think about this, what this general election holds for the future. In 50 years of nationhood, one party completely dominated the political scene because we, the people, gave the party too much power. But what we have given, we can take back. And we will, and we must, for the sake of our nation. The PAP deserves no respect because it never respected your choice of elected members of parliament in the first place. Your Workers' Party MP can never set foot in the community clubs or host an event there as an elected MP of the community. On the other hand, the PAP MPs are given staff hired by People Association to help them run their constituency. They get to use the community club for events as grassroots advisors, all paid for by the people's money. In fact, the PAP government makes grassroots advisors so important that their magazines would address them as grassroots advisor first, then followed by their appointment, even for cabinet ministers. Yeah, so you have grassroots advisors, Teo Chee Hean, and then Deputy Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew. That's how important grassroots advisors are. But this is basically to legitimize the use of public fund for political mileage. I have only 3 words for the PAP. Shame on you. We have come a long way. Today the PAP does not dominate the political talent pool. And today the people have found their collective empowerment to effect change. To the people of Aljunied, Hougang and Punggol East, I salute you. To the people of Nee Soon, East Coast, Fengshan, Marine Parade, MacPherson, Sengkang West, and Jalan Besar, we need you to send a clear message too. We need your support in our march toward the First World Parliament because we need to have our Singapore back, and we need to do it now. The longer we wait, the more the PAP will manipulate the system to suppress the growing opposition voice. For so many years, the PAP say they know what's best for Singapore, and without them, Singapore will fail, and your wives will be maids in another country. I don't know what the PAP knows best, but I do know they know best how to price the HDB flat that will take you a lifetime to pay. They know best to keep you working your entire life because your CPF is never enough to meet the minimum sum. They also know best to give your children a world-best education, but they leave them fighting for jobs with foreigners. Last, they know best to pay themselves the highest salary for political office, But they will say that the salary formula was debated in Parliament. By the way, we are outnumbered 80 to 9 in Parliament. They can pass many bills in the House, even with half the MPs on holiday or eating olwa in Fengshan, you know. There are only two possible outcomes come September 11. We either go back to the dark ages of politics, or we empower ourselves to stand up against tyranny and arrogance. Values like justice and equality are trampled upon by the PAP with impunity, and we cannot let it go on for another day longer. My fellow Singaporean, the time has come to make a change, a big change, a 28 slap change. In Hougang, I've attended one too many funerals of my elderly residents who did not live long enough to enjoy a simple lift ride to their homes because of bad politics. We cannot let the PAP play with our lives ever again. The time has come to empower your future. Vote Workers' Party. Thank you.